Hey you guys, it's the Psycho Power Ranger once again, and I'm here to bring you another What You May Not Know series. Now, let's see what we can do this time around. I think I'm going to talk about some PvP this round, which is my favorite type of event in all of MMOs. We'll go ahead and talk about structured PvP first. What I think is really cool is they're going to be bringing back around the structured PvP like tournaments. What I mean by this is there are tournaments that will give you a higher ranking. If your ranking is high enough, then you'll be able to play in monthly tournaments. Then, if you score high enough in monthly tournaments, you can then move on to play in the yearly tournaments. These yearly tournaments can even be really big tournaments. I know that in Guild Wars 1, they'd even have things where they'd fly you out to play in tournaments over in Germany. This is really cool because you don't need to go to third-party websites to be able to join into some of the bigger tournaments of Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2. So all this put together, you get a really huge experience of competitive tournament play, which makes it pretty easy for people who are more casual to get into a more competitive PvP. There'll also be player-run PvP tournaments, things where you can allow only your friends in or your guildmates in, and you can have your own like little tournaments of your own. That's pretty cool. There will be a hot join play in this game, kind of like games such as Modern Warfare, where you just kind of sign up and it just plops you right into a server ready to play. The only game mode out for structured PvP right now is Conquest, and what that is it's a capture defend system, most likely related to arena battles for Guild Wars 1, or something that you can compare it to would be if you've ever played Arathi Basin in World of Warcraft, or like Dominion from League of Legends. There are all sorts of things that are closely related to this type of game style, but it's a pretty fun game style all in all. It's pretty successful. They've released one map out there so far, and it's called Battle of Kylo. What's really cool about this is there's a catapult in it, and this catapult can actually destroy things. From looking at the map, it looks like around 60% of the map is revealed to you right when you start out the game. You can actually use that catapult to destroy walls and buildings to open up the map. You can do all sorts of flanks and attacks with that, and I'm really excited to see what other kind of battle systems they'll have in Guild Wars 2. Also, in structured PvP, gear is not an option. What I mean by that is you don't need to have good gear to be able to play in this. You also don't need to find all the skills or unlock all the skills. And to put all these together, what that means for you is you can start doing structured PvP from level 1. You will receive every skill that you need right off the bat. Every weapon that you need right off the bat. This kind of PvP takes out that whole feeling of I can't play PvP because I don't have the good gear. That makes this game awesome in itself. I also don't believe traits will be active in structured PvP, but like I said in my second video, they might be changing around traits, so maybe you will be able to use traits. This isn't completely confirmed. There will be all sorts of vehicles in this PvP. What I mean like that is the catapult. There might be other vehicles that will be used later in other types of games, which would be awesome. I know in Guild Wars 1 there was the Devourer, and that Devourer was amazing, and I'd love to see other creatures of that nature in PvP in general. PvP will be taken care of in the mists. Now what I really like about this whole mists thing is it's good for role players. I don't personally roleplay, but it will give them the feeling of a role-playing environment. And I like that ANET kind of put that in there for the role players because I feel like they're a little underlooked in a lot of MMOs. That right there is just huge in itself. What the mist is kind of like purgatory in a sense. It's not exactly the area between like death, but it's where all the spirits reside. It's kind of like a second dimension in a sense. It's hard to explain. It'll also be a place where you're essentially refighting battles of the old. In this game, fear will not make you run around like an idiot. It'll make you run directly away from the user of fear. This is sweet because it's more calculated. You can calculate what you're going to do with fear. I don't like the random like you're running around like an idiot. Someone who's afraid is not going to run like that. So I just think that's really cool for PvP in general and thought it was worth mentioning. Now that we covered structured PvP a little bit, we'll now talk about world PvP. You will actually get equipment from world PvP. And what's cool about world PvP is the equipment is actually usable. If you get PvP gear from world PvP, then you will be able to use it as if you found something in a dungeon. I like that they make it so that PvPers can stay on par with PvEers, even though they don't want to PvE. Alright, this is how it works. So every 2 weeks, 3 servers will be paired together to fight. While these servers are fighting, they're fighting for territories, and these territories will give you all sorts of buffs, which I'll go into later. The more often you win, the higher your server ranking will go. What this all means is it'll balance what servers you're fighting, so that you're never facing a way better server. There's no exact limit to how many people can be inside a server, but the estimates are anywhere from 100 to 150 per side. So that's a big number, and I really like that. Huge PvP is what I die for. The larger the numbers, the more easy chaos can be ensued. The good thing about chaos and thieves is thieves can pick off the ones who don't follow the chaos. There's actually resources in world PvP. These resources can be acquired by capturing things like towns, fortresses, castles, you name it, whatever's in the game. If you capture it, it usually will be giving you some form of a resource. These things can be captured with smaller groups and larger groups. For example, a smaller group can capture a mercenary camp, but a larger group would be able to take on things like castles, all sorts of things like that. So you don't necessarily need to be with big groups to succeed in this. There'll also be NPCs in here, but they're mostly for defensive purposes. By mostly, I mean all. And what that will do is help you defend. So that if you're by yourself and you're in a castle, it'll be easier to fend off the hordes of people who are coming at you. In world PvP, there will be a dependency on weapons and level. So your gear does matter in world PvP, and so does your level. This is not in any way, shape, or form balanced like structured PvP is. Now, this is cool. You ready to hear? Resources gained can be used to make things better or repair things. For example, rebuild walls, create siege engines, and just defend your fortresses in general. So it's just, that is way cool that it just gives you that feeling of real world. It's very realistic, and I find that amazing. So what does this also mean? You can break down walls and storm. For example, Lord of the Rings, where they blow up the wall and things just start storming in. That could happen. You can organize your guild to go do a world PvP function, and you just destroy things. How beautiful is that? I'm so excited. I'm gonna look so dumb. Anyways, like I said, at the end of 2 weeks, it's over. Whoever wins gets their rank updated, and whoever loses doesn't. Simple as that. There's also rewards for doing world PvP. This is great. Why? Because it'll make experienced players want to actually play it. For example, in Rift, nobody really does the rifts at the high level stuff because there's no real incentive to do them. The gear is minuscule and you can get better stuff. In this, they'll be giving you benefits that will actually make hardcore players want to play it. This is so important for the longevity of a video game because hardcore players, in a sense, support the casual player, and they're just needed for everything. So territories will give benefits to the servers that control them. Things such as faster energy or health regen, increased drop rates, or increased experience for a certain amount of time. So like, that drop rate might be huge things for people trying to get certain gears from certain things. It's going to be phenomenal, guys. So great. There's also individual rewards, however. Players can gain experience and gear just by playing this on their own. There will also be world pets that can only be tamed in world PvP. Now, when you're in world PvP, you actually can't communicate with any of the other servers, meaning I only assume they can't hear you at all. If you type something, they won't hear it. That doesn't go to show that their emotes won't be able to be used to communicate with them. What I think would be awesome to see is if there is 2 of servers who aren't doing well, they will gang up on that last server, kind of in a feeling of they need to expand on their own. They will team together to fight their enemy. I really hope this happens because that would be just really awesome, just to like see huge mass numbers attacking. However, knowing the internet world, that probably wouldn't happen, but a man can dream. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe if you haven't already if you enjoyed this video, because it really helps me out, gives me all sorts of happy feelings inside. I can't tell you how much I love seeing comments too, and I always comment back to anybody who comments me because I enjoy you people. Anyways, you guys, enjoy yourself.